And actually, let me show you an example of that. Let me show you an example of that. Let's talk about Gays Against Groomers. Now, contracts are boring, okay? We're about to read some things that are boring. But contracts are the way organizations are run. Contracts tell us what an organization values. Contracts tell us how an organization perceives the people to support that are supporting it. All right? What I want to show you is the contract that Gays Against Groomers has with its volunteers, not with its employees. Gays Against Groomers has raised, I've heard, this is a rumor, I have not seen their ledgers or anything. I've heard Gays Against Groomers has raised over $1 million. They have no employees. No one gets a salary. Every single person that works with Gays Against Groomers is a volunteer, and yet they still expect them to sign this contract, okay? Now, I know this is really small, but let me put the link in the chat so you guys can read along with it. Oh, Charlie Kirk is not an activist. Let's hang on. Charlie Kirk is not an activist. Charlie Kirk is an entertainer on a good day. All right, let me see. I'm just going to skip down a little bit. I understand that to maintain my status as a volunteer. Okay, the first part of this contract essentially says you are a volunteer. You have no expectation that you are going to get paid for your work with Gays Against Groomers. Okay. I recognize that all copyrights and trademarks and intellectual property are trade secrets created and shared with me, and that's normal, okay? This paragraph here basically says that I recognize that there is intellectual property that I'm going to have access to while I'm a volunteer with Gays Against Groomers, and I won't share that. That is completely fair. However, here's where we start to get into the sticky pieces. I will maintain in confidence during and subsequent to my work as a volunteer any information about the organization or its members which is confidential information or which might reasonably be expected by the organization as confidential, including but not limited to, there's a typo in the contract, fundraising, donor information, website analytics, strategic plans, memorandum, or other internal communications and information. This contract was drawn up after my reporting on Gays Against Groomers. And after I talked to a dozen whistleblowers in Gays Against Groomers, and they leaked out private signal messages, then Gays Against Groomers tried to make every single person volunteering for them sign this piece of paper saying, if you share what happens in Gays Against Groomers, we will sue you. So any whistleblowers, what they're trying to prevent is anyone talking about how shitty an organization Gays Against Groomers is. But that's not actually the part that bothers me. This is the most important part right here of the Gays Against Groomers contract and how you know that Gays Against Groomers is a shill grifting organization. I am not a volunteer with Gays Against Groomers, nor have I ever signed an agreement with Gays Against Groomers. So no, they can't sue me for shit. Nice try. Upon termination of my volunteer service to the organization for any reason, I will, for the good and sufficient consideration set forth above, refrain for 12 months from participating in the formation of any organization that is in competition with or similar to the organization unless the organization approves such volunteer employment or duties in writing. This isn't an NDA. This is not an NDA. This is a contract that says if you leave Gays Against Groomers, you cannot go and do activism with another organization. And if you do go do activism with another organization for 12 months after you leave Gays Against Groomers, then we will sue you. Let's think about that for a second. Gays Against Groomers doesn't want any competition in the space to fight grooming. Gays Against Groomers wants to be the only organization in the anti-woke space that is fighting grooming. And if someone goes to volunteer for Gays Against Groomers, in any capacity, volunteer, not a paid role, volunteer, and Gays Against Groomers fires you or you choose to leave, they want you to not be able to go work with any other organization that is fighting grooming. Let me ask you guys this. Is fighting grooming, like, is there a limit to how many people and how many organizations can fight grooming? If you really care about if you really care about fighting grooming and ending grooming, wouldn't you want as many people as possible to be working on that, even if they're not working with you? Why don't they want people who are interested in working on fighting grooming to be doing exactly that? Let me give you another example. There are big time influencers that have signed on with Gays Against Groomers. People like, I know Buck Angel used to work with them. I don't think Buck Angel works with them anymore. Ariel Scarcella, Blair White. There are many big time influencers that are volunteers with Gays Against Groomers. What happens if an influencer signs this contract and then it doesn't work out? They don't like how Gays Against Groomers is treating them. They see the shady business practices that have all been exposed at this point, and the influencer decides to leave Gays Against Groomers. This contract would prevent that influencer from going and advocating for any other organization that's fighting grooming unless they had Gays Against Groomers' explicit permission to do so. Exactly. Gays Against Groomers wants a monopoly on the money and the power of being the biggest and best organization to fight grooming. And they don't care if that means that less people are fighting grooming as long as they are fighting grooming and they are getting paid to fight grooming and they are getting all the publicity for fighting grooming and they are the number one grooming organization in the world, or anti-grooming organization in the world, as it were. These people don't care about this issue. Jamie Mitchell, who is the CEO of Gays Against Groomers, does not care about ending grooming. She doesn't care about ending grooming. She cares about being the CEO of Gays Against Groomers. Do you guys see how this works? I have never seen a volunteer agreement like this. But this type of crap is so common on the political right. Yeah, some of them have. And it was stupid of them to sign it. But the reason I have this document is that not everyone did. Not everyone did. When it comes to fighting back against the woke cultural revolution, If you are a serious organization, you do not inhibit people's ability to fight back against what's going on. They view everything as a competition. They view everything. They really think there are only a limited number of people who can fight grooming, and we better take those spots to do it because there's only a limited amount of resources, and we have to bring all the money and all the media attention into us because no one is doing anything else. It's just us. This is the way it works, guys. And this is why the conservative right does not want to win. Because this is now public information. All of the bullshit about gays against groomers has been public information for a while now. I exposed all of it. And yet, they're still getting all this media attention. They're still getting all the money. This is why conservatives don't deserve to win. Because it is an endless grift that is completely unhinged from what needs to happen in reality to actually win. They don't want people who are actually doing productive things. They want people who look nice and who have the best design and the best presentation and the best videos and the best theme music. That's what they want. And if that's where your priorities are, then you deserve to lose. So let's see. Let's see what it's like at Gays Against Groomers right now. I just want to show you this quick video. These are two of the people who work at Gays Against Groomers. By the way, the video that we're going to watch, these two women have harassed me endlessly on Twitter for being fat. You're going to see why that's ironic in a second. I'm way too fat and ugly for these two dykes. And they call themselves dykes, by the way. They call themselves that, so I'm not using it as a slur. I'm literally using their language. Let's listen. Oh, why isn't the sound playing?
All the people who left Gays Against Groomers. All the people who left Gays Against Groomers. Why has that happened?
That is none of your business.
No comment about that.
No.
Are you still in touch with Mario and your colleagues? No, not in touch with them, or no comment.
That's none of your business, honestly.
Okay.
Whether we are or whether we're not, it doesn't really make any difference.
I'm surprised they weren't here. All the people who left Gays Against Groomers. Why is that?
This blonde woman is the Associate Director of Communication for Gays Against Groomers. And she's being asked, what about all that upheaval at Gays Against Groomers? And her answer from the associate or assistant or whatever her title, the something director of communication is, that's just none of your business. This person also tried to get the now former head of chapters, either former head of chapters or the former executive director, I forget which one. This one also tried to get Gays Against Groomers to forge a letter for her probation officer. I have the receipts on that, by the way. Anyway, let's watch the second video.
The Gays Against Groomers issue, was it about fundraising and the way that Jamie spent the money? No? Not about that. Not about that.
Those internal problems had nothing to do with money. So I don't know where you guys are getting all this shit to spew, but it's not true. Just make up shit.
No, I'm not making up shit.
I would too if I were you.
I'm just.
You have a bunch of disgruntled employees crying about a former employer. That's it. That's it.
Were people employed? I always thought of you as volunteers.
Well, no, that's a figure of speech. Nobody's actually employed. Nobody's getting paid. We're all volunteers.
Right.
But we also have a code of conduct.
And people
and no one
follows.
Yes.
It's nobody's business what happened with people who were within the side of the organization. I'm telling you right now, you can stop asking. It is nobody's business what happened with inside internal organization. You don't have to worry about it.
I mean,
if it
it's
was
my job to ask you,
if it
actually.
if it was something that they wanted to speak about, they would have spoken about it.
Have you guys gained?
And these guys are the people that are going to save us from grooming. The organization that all the conservatives support, that the media will cover all their stuff any day of the week. But will they cover actual grooming in schools? No. Do you guys understand why we have to have this conversation about all of the ways that the conservative right shoots itself in its own foot? Did anyone watch those videos and think, this is a completely professional organization? I absolutely have faith and confidence that this is the organization that's going to save us all.